This is a Global Player original podcast.
Vine is loose. It's unchained. It's broken free. It's out of the bag, out of the bottle, out of control. Or at least the control of its inventors. From the minds of tech masters into the hands of ordinary people. And Vine's biggest stars were often the most ordinary people you could meet. In the sea of initial experimentation, certain faces began to rise to the top, cutting through the noise and the odd stop motion to become Vine's first wave of stars. The key was finding a niche, nailing it, and viewers would keep coming back for more. And in the sleepy town of Dover, Kent, Aaron Kraskell was carving out a very particular niche all of his own.
Hello, mate, I need your help. You know, I've been helping Charlotte's nan, doing the chores. She offered me £50 to kiss her. Yeah, I did twice. She didn't even have her teeth in.
If you're British, you'll know Aaron Kraskell's face. And because his fame was built on his willingness to shout out the most inappropriate thing he could think of in a public place while pretending to be on the phone, you'll probably know his voice as well.
I was in Morrison's in 2014, and I done a sketch where the peanut butter was out of stock. And I remember going, oh, God! And then when I watched it, I thought, oh my God, what are you doing, Aaron? This is so stupid. And when I opened my phone, I watched it. Behind me was an old woman. She went, when I did, oh God, like that. And I thought, oh my God, I've just got a reaction from someone by making a loud noise. Then I started trialing it. So I started going out and going, meow, making silly noises and without videoing it, because I could feel people looking at me. That's when I thought, okay, this could be big. Like if I carry on doing this and being the loud guy in public.
I'm looking for a Jimmy or a Jonathan. Hello?
And no one's ever copied it.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Well, no one's got the guts.
They can't do it.
Aaron had the guts of someone with very little left to lose. Vine wasn't just a new horizon for him, it was something of a salvation.
I was in and out of jobs. I was never happy at school. My school life was terrible. I just didn't want to be there. I hated discipline and being told what to do. So as soon as I left school, I went to art college. As soon as I was 16, I wanted to be a grown-up, smoking, drinking and hanging around with adults and painting for a living. And I was always a free spirit. I was never locked down anywhere. I was always on the move. I was always rushing around. I've had so many jobs. I was working in a Indian restaurant, Chinese restaurant, the Palau restaurant, key company, and record shops. Then I was on P&O, so many jobs, trains, Argos, the co-op. My last job was when I worked at William Hill. I worked at the bookmakers, which if no one knows is where you do horse bets and people gamble. I was going absolutely nowhere.
But on Vine, he was going everywhere.
Excuse me, I wouldn't eat that. My ex-girlfriend used to eat that and she turned into a right bitch. So...
Oh, okay.
When it came to chaos, Aaron was king, making him one of a quite small pool of British creators who found global success among the great sea of American viners.
The American was more sketch. It was more sketches they were doing. The thing with the American viners, they was always collabing. It was like Logan Paul, Rydoon, Curtis, Manon, Hannah, Brandon. They were all... I think they lived together at one point. The vines they were making were unreal. Like, so clever. I could never do it. The Americans were more comedy sketches and collabs. I think the English stuff was more mental. I think.
Just more mental.
It was. Because there's nothing much you can do in England. We're all spread out so much. Like, we never collabed. Like, never.
Okay, let me see something here. Sorry, guys. No. I'm such a Luddite.
California native Brandon Calvillo was one of those American viners. His content was definitely a different flavour to Aaron's public outbursts, but that doesn't mean it was any less chaotic.
What are you doing on the roof, Uncle Alec?
I lost my Frisbee!
Are you smoking crack up there?
Yeah.
What are you doing at the playground, Uncle Alec?
I'm helping the community!
Are you selling crack to kids?
No!
Are you the guy that sells crack to kids?
Yeah, that's me.
Pretty surprisingly, Brandon's struggling to get his video going. It's been a decade since he was a regular face on the tiny screen of my iPhone 4, but as he pops into view, he looks like he hasn't aged a day. When we reached out to you, you seemed like quite happy and enthusiastic to talk about Vine, which was lovely. It must hold a pretty special place in your heart.
Yeah, I mean, Vine was, to me, it was like a lot of my young adulthood was just on Vine. I mean, I started when I was I think I was 18, and I associate most of that coming of age with Vine, for sure. We lived in a little town called Placentia, in Orange County. And in Placentia, nothing happens. It's total suburbia. You go to school, you come home, maybe get McDonald's, eat, watch TV, that's it. Like, you don't do anything. And that's fine.
Fresh out of high school, Brandon was hungry for something new.
I just graduated. I was working at Subway, which was a nightmare. No knock to Subway. They have great sandwiches, but that Subway I worked at was hell. And I wanted to become a filmmaker. That was my thing when I was growing up. I was like, that's all I want to do is become a director and a writer. So I think I heard about Vine from a podcast, and I downloaded it, and I just started to like get addicted to it, like people just making these really creative, funny videos that are so consumable and so repeatable, obviously, because of the looping aspect. It was so fun to watch on my break. It was fun to watch when I got on the bus ride home. It was fun to watch when I got home. And this was March 2013. Vine had just come out. No one was on there, really. And I just remember being inspired by the people who were on there, who were doing funny videos, stop motion animation, stuff like that. I was like, I want to do this. I mean, this is easy. I'll just start to make videos. I'm just going to do it. And I did it. And things started to unfold from there very quickly.
Up north, in Toronto, Canada.
All right, sir. And what's your name? It's Jasmine. Jasmine. Actually, no, it's Jasmine. Sir, I think I know how to spell Jasmine.
YouTuber Jasmine Rayner had a similar passion, but was reluctantly pursuing a career in medicine. God, imagine that. Choosing to be a doctor when you could be doing something worthwhile, like making vines.
And I always wanted to go into film school. I just never really panned out in my household. I'm a child of an immigrant, so the arts within the South Asian community weren't really encouraged. The community really wants like people in our community to have prestigious jobs, like a doctor, engineer, lawyer. And so, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll be a doctor, even though I really wanted to do film. I don't blame my parents. I get it. They wanted the best for me. So, I was just like, all right, I'll just do this thing that's like set out for me. I was like doing biomed, planning to become a doctor, but I didn't like it at all. Yeah, I just always had an interest in film, and I'm a big comedy nerd. And so I was doing YouTube at that time, and it was finally an outlet for me to create stuff that I really wanted to do, like sketch comedy or just weird skits.
Better known by his username Just Rain, Jasmine established a loyal following for his comedy skits about his life as a South Asian Canadian.
Have you ever guys been shopping with your parents and stuff like this happens? What did you get? Okay? Okay. Okay? Okay. Good. Get lost.
Yo, do you guys even listen to Drake?
Guys don't even listen to Drake.
Uncle, you to see Drake? Sun do Drake?
Uncle doesn't even listen to Drake.
We have look Drake sunte. Bye, Drake.
But he'd hit a bit of a ceiling. There wasn't much space left to grow on YouTube, and he'd saturated the platform's South Asian audience, who would complain when he experimented with different styles of content. But then, on a trip to India, too busy for the faff of long-form video edits, he decided to try out Vine.
I went to India for a movie shoot. I was just there for like a few months filming, and I saw a lot of big trends on Vine, and I just really wanted to make fun of them. I was like a bit of a trend hater at the time. I started parroting like big trends on Vine and just doing them in India. It was just like a weird cultural shift, take my own spin on it. I used to go around India and ask people if they even listen to Drake. He's been popping for a couple years in Toronto, and like a lot of Toronto guys would be like, yo, bro, do you even listen to Drake? Like it was like a thing that I just took, but then I would do that in India, and everybody would be so confused. Like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Those really started popping off.
If you remember Just Rain on Vine, it's probably from these videos. With just 6 seconds and a niche take on a trend, he'd hit that sweet spot. His videos quickly rose to the top.
To me, I was like, these are really easy and not that funny, but let me... Why are they so popular? Let me remake it and like do something absolutely dumb with it. I did like a Liam Neeson Taken parody.
I don't think you understand. Your daughter will be dead in 24 hours.
Yeah, I know that. That sucks, but I wanted a son anyway, so...
$3 million or your daughter's gonna be dead, you hear me?
Oh man, that's way too high. You have like a discount, anything like that?
You've got 24 hours.
24 what?
24 hours till we kill your daughter.
Oh, yeah, that's okay, man. I'll make another one.
I have this like philosophy on a lot of things that I do. I think the more specific and nuanced it is and true to your experience, the harder it'll hit. Counterintuitive to whatever those boardroom algorithm people are saying. I'm always like, no, I just think the more specific it is, like that Taken series, an Indian dad getting a call that his daughter's been kidnapped. They give her ransom and he's like, ooh, and he's trying to like discount. He's like, I don't know, people in our community are known to be, bargainers. Like I remember when I was like 10, I wanted a Game Boy Advance or something, and we're like going to the store, and I remember my dad trying to bargain with the GameStop employee, and the guy's like, some teenager's like, this is the price. My dad's like, $50. He's like, no, it's like 110. What are you talking about? Why is my dad trying? My dad was trying to impress me too. He's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk out, and then he's gonna call us back. And I'm like, no, that doesn't work here. They have separate. This guy's like in high school. He doesn't care if you buy it or not. And so, it's just like taking those experiences and plugging them into
The chalky white cliffs of Dover couldn't be more different from the sprawling suburbia of Orange County or the glassy skyline of Toronto, but Aaron, Brandon and Jasmeet still had a lot in common. Artistic spirits, uninspiring jobs, and a restless yearning for a creative outlet.
Hey, Kristen Stewart, what time is it?
By contrast, Manon Matthews, best known on Vine for her spot-on Kristen Stewart impressions, was already committed to the life of a performer.
I grew up in Los Angeles in the Valley area. And I think I started recording videos on my dad's camcorder where you put the actual VHS tape inside the camcorder. And then I started learning to edit when I was around 12 years old and presenting to my parents.
These days, her dry, irreverent humour has evolved to explore the joys and chaos of first-time motherhood. Congrats on the baby, first and foremost.
Thank you very much. He's 7 weeks. And 13 pounds about, and he's the love of my life.
Manon found her comedy calling early. By the time Vine launched, she was in her early 20s and staying afloat through waitressing, but she still hadn't changed course.
And then I started studying comedy improv, and then I started stand-up. And in my stand-up, I did a Kristen Stewart and Kim Kardashian impression. And so when I got on Vine, I didn't get on Vine to get a following. Obviously, I didn't know that was a possibility. I just downloaded the app and started having fun with it. It was just like, okay, this is interesting. I have no followers, which didn't matter. I was just making videos. And I think I grew up to 200 followers or something. And one of the followers said, hey, can you put up your Kristen Stewart impression? I saw you do it at the Comedy Store. And I was like, sure. And I put up this impression, asked Kristen Stewart what her favorite ice cream flavor was, and then did the impression, which was like,
hey, Kristen Stewart, what's your favorite ice cream flavor? I don't know.
And that one Vine took off. And the next morning, I woke up to 13,000 followers, and it, after a week, got to 100,000 followers. Yeah, everything changed from that one moment.
35 miles away in Orange County, Brandon was already getting hooked on Vine.
The way you made Vines back in the day, back when it first started, was you could not do second takes. You had to get everything there. So you would record for a little bit and then you'd stop recording. You would record for a little bit and that would be like editing. It would be like editing a video, but it would be in real time. If you messed up, if you got somebody saying go in the beginning, you had to start all the way over. And if you were making just a silly little, comedy video in your house, that wasn't a big deal. But if you were doing what some people were doing, which is like stop motion or, traveling and trying to get bunch of different locations perfectly for whatever reason, you needed to make sure that was perfect or you were screwed. So whenever you saw a video that seemed very intricate, those took a lot of work and a lot of messing up to get right. It was more dangerous, I think. That was fun about it. It was just like, you had to get it. You had to get it.
Aaron's first encounter with Vine happened, naturally, in the pub. And when presented with the app's clean, efficient, revolutionary design, he wasn't really that impressed.
I was in the pub having a drink on the Wednesday. Have you seen this guy called Dapper Laughs? I was like, no, I've not seen him. It's on this Vine app. I was like, what the hell's that? So I downloaded the app onto my phone, and that's where it all began. I mean, it was a nightmare to use. There was no editing. You couldn't even save the video. So you had to make the video, then upload it straight away. I'd go, in public, and I wouldn't even know what it looked like until I uploaded it. It was just such a challenge. It was I think my first ever video, what I uploaded was, there was a dog called Rio in the pub, and we were having a lock-in. We were all drunk. And I got the dog eating peanuts on the table. And then there was a cut. You could do the cut. So I pushed the cut, and then my friend was eating the peanuts on the table. That was my first ever video, and it did nothing. I didn't have no followers, nothing.
It was like how back in the 70s, I don't mean to compare Vine to filmmaking in the 70s, but there were some similarities in the sense of in the 70s, you were shooting on film, so you couldn't really even see what you were filming a lot of the time. A lot of the directors didn't really know. They only saw what DP was seeing. And you rolled, and you only had a certain amount of film, and if you checked the gate and that film had a piece of lint in it or the shot was over lit, that was it. That's all you had, because you only had a set amount of film or else the budget went way over. So there's a lot of that kind of element with Vine in the beginning where you had to get everything in that time. You couldn't go back. I mean, you didn't waste a bunch of money like a film production, but there could be great sections of a thing you were filming, but if one was off, then you have to start over.
Hey, Brandon, we got some ice cream out here. Ice cream! I'm shocked that always works. I know. Let's get his wallet.
Okay, he might not have been the next Scorsese, but Brandon's dark, off-colour brand of comedy quickly built up a big fan following.
Chef's Choice was probably... so dark. It was such a dark video. It was called Bad Babysitters, and it was me and my friend Jay Walker. And we're by this pool, and the pool's in the background. He goes,
babysitting is so easy. Yeah, I know. Our kid's so quiet. He hasn't said anything for like an hour.
And then you see a body floating in a pool, and it comes into frame perfectly as I say that. And then somebody who's walking by goes, is this your kid in the pool? And then I go,
our kid can't swim.
It's very dark. Obviously, the person in the pool was an adult man, and it was all fake. But the timing of it was perfect. And that, to me, was what Vine was about, was getting everything perfect in one shot.
Brandon, Jasmine, Aaron, Manon. Just 4 among thousands, and then hundreds of thousands, and then millions of users that flooded to Vine. Just 76 days after it launched, Vine was the #1 free app on the US App Store. 2 months after that, it had reached 13 million registered users. Another 2 months later, that leapt to 40 million. But most were watching, not creating, meaning there was a huge potential audience for those willing to put their time and talents into making Vines.
Vine did not have an algorithm. Vine in the beginning had maybe 15 creators on it. But the user base in the beginning of the app was probably like at least 1 million people were watching Vines. I mean, that's a small amount for an app, but if you consider 15 creators are making videos for 1 million people, then it's like, that's just a crazy, no one knew what to do with it except a few people. And we all just became the people that just kind of entertained everyone for a while. And then people started to go, oh, this is a comedy app. This can be used for comedy. Then more people got the groove, figured out the rhythm of it, and started doing that as well. And then more creators. But even at the end of Vine's lifespan, I mean, popular creators like who had like, you know, millions of followers, it wasn't that many. It was maybe like 50 to 100, maybe. And that was with a user base, an audience user base of like, I don't know how many it had at the end of its lifespan, but like tens of millions of people were watching. But there wasn't an algorithm. You just got your following. There was a thing called the popular page, where if you had a Vine that got a lot of likes in an hour, and a lot of likes back then was like 500 in an hour, you got on the top of the popular page, and people went to the popular page because they just want to see, oh, what's popular, and you would be the first thing they saw if your Vine did well enough. It was this is bringing me back. You would be like, oh, I gotta get at the top of the popular page. I gotta get at the top of the popular page. It would be like network television, like getting the most amount of eyes, like the best ratings. It was like, oh, that show got this amount of viewers on it, and we didn't, and this show's doing great. It was like that, but with just people recording on their shitty iPhones.
Early creators figured out that Vine's simplicity demanded precision, even when chasing mass appeal. Posting at the right time, collaborating through revines, and doubling down on trends was part of the unspoken rulebook of engagement that was forming in real time. Over in the UK, Aaron had finally ironed out his technique, and he had posting down to a science.
I was filming morning, afternoon and night time. In the morning before the bookies, filming in my lunch breaks, and then filming after work. I ate, dreamt, drank Vine. Like, I was uploading 6 videos a day. I was obsessed. I was always uploading in my lunch breaks. The lunchtime videos never really used to do as well as the nighttime ones. It was just like, oh, okay, I'll just put 2 and 2 together at the end of the day. My videos did better after work, so I just kept to it. And between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. is the absolute must for me. People keep saying to me about going earlier. I'm not going to go earlier. If I go earlier, I'm regretting it straight away, and I'll take it down anyway. I've never uploaded on a Friday or Saturday because they are just the days where no one's on their phones. I can tell you that now. Sunday's the most important day to upload. If you've got a big video, Sunday's the best time. Everyone's always been out Saturday night, drunk. Next day, They're always on their phones in bed, hanging, watching videos. If there's big football games on, don't even upload. Just wait until after the game, at least 10 minutes after the game, so people can get on their phones. If there's Love Island on, don't bother uploading around that time. You've just got to literally think about yourself. When are you on your phone? Upload when you think you would be able to see it.
Nowadays, content creation is considered a relatively normal career path, unless you're speaking to my mum. But back then, the term influencer wasn't mainstream. It was mostly confined to bloggers, YouTubers, and a handful of fashion it girls. But Vine creators were connecting with their audiences daily through quick, unfiltered videos, shifting the focus to brevity, spontaneity, and personality.
Yeah, I mean, obviously when I first started, there was no calculated when's a good time to post. I was just very like, oh, my friends are going to see this. Okay, I'll just post whenever. It wasn't really until I started collaborating and hearing other people's ideas about this is the best time to post. And I just trusted them. I said, okay, great. It was really fun to try to catch, okay, the kids are coming out of school. We got to post at 1:00 for them coming out of school. And then the Eastern Standard Time is going to be getting out of school, and afternoon is best. Morning on the weekends around 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Try not to post too late at night. But that being said, I often went against it. And then sometimes I would just get a hit of inspiration and I'd be like, I'm posting this now. I don't care. I want to catch the energy of this video because this just happened. You have to, I mean, if you shoot something especially in the beginning, you had to post it. You couldn't just like save it in your drafts, I don't think. The app evolved and then you could upload and post whenever, but kind of had to shoot it and post it in the moment, which was just so fun because then you felt like you were getting people's lives, what was happening in that moment. That was the beginning of that. Now you can shoot a video and then a year later post it. I don't know what's when. People are just now saying, congratulations, I heard you're expecting. And I'm like, oh, I had the baby 7 weeks ago.
That raw immediacy forged loyal followings. The influencer revolution had begun. Okay, so some people got popular on an app. Who cares? You can't see Mary right now, but she's screaming at the top of her lungs. She's going, who cares? Why is this important? Well, Mary, first of all, check your tone. Calm down. Okay. Put down the knife, Mary. It's important for two reasons. First of all, it's important because I say so, but also because, you think since the dawn of showbiz, celebrity as a concept has been gatekept by Hollywood, by insiders, people in boardrooms in suits. If you wanted to maintain your fame, you got to be in the tabloids. You got to have access to those things. Basically, if you wanted to make a name for yourself as a creative, you had to work your way up the greasy pole of the traditional media industry. And that's just not the case anymore.
Yeah, I mean, now that you put it like that, it seems quite important.
You mean beautifully?
So beautifully. But, I mean, it genuinely is weird trying to think back to when things were like that, before things were open. And importantly, those people who were gatekeeping, it was kind of the same people who had that power, and it meant the same people would be being blocked out. Whereas now, anyone with a phone has got access to an audience. Now we have the Mannons of the world, the Aarons of the world actually doing this strategizing. As long as you have a phone, you've got that audience. And that was just so different from anything that had been there before.
And do you maybe have a little bit of luck in that people actually see it? Now, on the other side of the coin, there are no barriers at all, so you are also able to more quickly destroy yourself if you want to. If you want to go online and make a stupid video that ruins your reputation, that is the downside.
But it also means you can try things out, right? You don't have the big costs involved. These things are being made by the very audience they're intended for. And it's the kind of content that they're making. Like, maybe it's not good. Maybe it wouldn't get picked up by an executive, but actually it turns out this stuff tickles the brain of the audience and they like it, and it just wouldn't have been found before.
And there's something kind of beautiful about that. It means that creators can be so much more agile. We completely take this for granted now. With TikTok, people just throw a video up. They're like, I've had a funny idea, I'll film it in 30 seconds, put it on TikTok like it's nothing.
They can just try something and they've lost like a bar of battery on their phone. Previously, if you were going to put something on a platform with an audience, there were resources involved and there was going to be a loss if it wasn't a roaring success.
Yeah, you haven't let down advertisers. You haven't had 15 script meetings that have been wasted.
A live studio audience not laughing.
When did you start to notice any actual change to your life? Like, when did Vine start to bleed through?
So I'm a bit of a shut-in, meaning I don't really leave the house much. At least when I was a kid, I didn't leave the house much. But it's my 19th birthday, summer of 2013. Me and my mom had this tradition where we would go to Disneyland every year for my birthday. And at that time, I had 1 million followers, which back then, 1 million followers was a huge deal. So what happened was a lot of people were staring. But once one person comes up to you and asks for a photo and you do it, then everyone else feels comfortable. And then the floodgates open and they start to come. And I have never gotten that swarmed. Even to this day, I've never gotten that swarmed by people. And I was shocked because there's this disconnect. You don't think it's real life. You don't compute that, oh yeah, these are all actual people that are watching these videos. And when you see it come at you in real life, it's very, it's a lot. I mean, I was just a little Viner. It was a huge shock.
When I hit 100,000, because obviously by then my videos were going out on other platforms like Snapchat, I was getting popular on Instagram and Facebook. It was all kind of merging into one big cartel kind of thing, if you know what I mean. It's crazy.
And of course, at that point, there's no money in Vine.
No.
So you're just doing it for the buzz, right?
Absolutely,
just for the love of it.
Yep, absolutely. There was no money in it. I was still going to work, but then people started coming into my work for selfies. And I was like, oh my God, it's actually starting to, this is mental. But I can remember walking to work, cars beeping their horns. It was such a weird feeling. It still is now, to be fair.
Were there any downsides that early on?
No, not really. It was more, I never got hate because the content was always, the laugh was always on me. My missus hated it. So she would come home and cry. People were kind of stalking her in Morrison's and giggling to themselves, and she just hated it. Not many people have got famous in Dover, you know. It's quite new, and my mum loves it because, like, she's met Robbie Williams, and my family love it in a way because it's opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
A lot of dopamine going on at that time. People start recognizing me on the street right away. I mean, I remember going to Universal City Walk and people were coming up to me left and right and asking me to do impressions as if I'm some sort of monkey. I did do them. I remember one girl was like, can you do impressions? And I did it. And she just looked at me and then walked away. And I was like, ooh, I never want to do that again. But generally, I love it. And I've loved it the entire time. It makes me feel like I'm friends with everybody in the world. It confirms, oh, these aren't just numbers. There are actual human beings watching and apparently laughing at this, and I miss it every day.
That's lovely.
It's a fake cry. I'm not really crying, although I could, if I really sat and like thought about it, I'm sure I could produce some tears around it because it is really sad that it's gone. I mean, the only reason I did it was because it was fun. And I think when people do that, when they do it because it's fun for them, I think that's how energy like transmutes. Like if I didn't enjoy doing I wouldn't keep making videos. It's been 11 years and I'm like still obsessed with making videos. It's the same thing I did when I was little. So I feel like I'm going to do it literally. I'll probably record my own death. Like that's how long I'm going to be making videos.
Yeah, I mean, I just literally couldn't even walk around Toronto anymore. Like I could not get from point A to point B without getting mobbed, like constantly. Like before, if I go to an Indian restaurant or store, if I go to the Goodhart, the temple, then I would get recognized. But now it was just everywhere I would go was, oh, this is another level. I went to the Drake concert and I was just getting I could not move. Even the security was like, yo, who is this guy? Shouldn't he have security? Like, what's going on? I couldn't go out into the main area, like just hordes of people trying to get a selfie, people just lining up. I wasn't making crazy money. I'm still sitting in like the nosebleed section. Even the meaning at that time of celebrity had changed. Influencers were now a thing. Like people wanted selfies from, content creators. Even I was like, why? I'm not Brad Pitt. Like what the hell? I'm not friggin' Ryan Gosling. I didn't have a movie come out. I was so confused. Before I was just only recognized by like, fellow brown folk. People would be like, oh, I love your YouTube. And then all of a sudden it started changing like, oh, I love your Vines. I think it really took me to another level.
You had this specific audience of your community, but then you suddenly had this platform where you could reach everyone in the world, but without really changing what you were making.
Yeah.
What did that mean to you?
There's a lot of racial tension happening in Canada right now. Just blatant racism that you see in the comment sections of any app. There's a lot of resentment that's coming forward, like tone of like, there's too many Indians now. Canada isn't what it used to be anymore. There's a lot of that rhetoric and dialect that's being thrown around. I mean, I think it's just important for people to see that we are an artsy, creative community as well. That's what the internet has always been. For me, I've had like 65-year-old white dudes from Sarnia, Ontario coming up being like, man, I love your videos, man. My wife, she's yelling at me because I'm always watching your videos on the internet. And it's just like, what? This guy that I would have no other connection with this dude. It's really humanizing people, showing our arts and our culture, and it's disruption, claiming our ancestral lineage through these new means.
This was just the start of Vine, but its simplicity was already redefining who could claim the spotlight. It was changing ordinary people's lives. But despite the digital adoration, Jasmeet was still in med school. Manon was still waiting tables. Aaron was a new dad, juggling shifts at the bookies and struggling to make rent. And Brandon was still stuck making sandwiches at Subway. It's a rare place to be. That famous and that broke. But the million-dollar question remained. How do you turn popularity into paychecks? Keep your hands and feet inside the podcast, folks, because the cash is about to come rolling in. And with all the money and the status on offer, things might start to get a little nasty. We're climbing towards the dizzying heights of peak Vine. And remember, no matter how thrilling things get, what goes up must always come down. Stick around for a tease of what's to come at the end of this episode. The next installment of Vine, 6 Seconds That Changed the World, drops next week. That's Wednesday, the 30th of April. Just search for Vine, 6 Seconds That Changed the World on the Global Player app, globalplayer.com, or wherever you get your podcasts. Next time on episode 4, on fleek, on top, and underappreciated.
Peak Vine, I could only describe it as like an acid trip because it just didn't feel real when it was happening.
How a platform that began as a quirky creative playground became a meritocracy, a battleground, and a cultural powerhouse.
Tell me that was not the most subversive thing you've ever seen, where it's like, oh, you might be an armed agent of the state who can, like, shoot me and not have any consequences, but I can still roast your shoes in front of millions of people, and millions of people are going to see it.
Before being overrun with content theft, cozy cliques, and big business.
A lot of times these big finers would literally steal ideas, like, and they would completely ignore you or be like, no, it wasn't, or too bad. That's the name of the game.
You can listen to Vine 6 Seconds That Changed the World on Global Player. Download it from the App Store or go to globalplayer.com. Vine 6 Seconds That Changed the World is a global original podcast, created and hosted by me, Benedict Townsend, and produced by my co-creator, Mary Goodhart. Narrative and creative by producer Kevyah Cardoso, score and sound design by Patrick Lee, and mix by Chris James. Sophie Snelling is the executive producer, Al Riddel is head of Factual podcasts, and Vicky Etchells is director of podcasts at Global.
This is a Global Player original podcast.